It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work by Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansson. Picture this for a moment. It's Sunday evening. The sun is setting, painting the sky in warm orange tones. For some people, this is pure peace. But for so many others, it's when the quiet dread starts creeping in. Monday morning begins to loom over you like a shadow. You think about that overflowing email inbox. Those back-to-back meetings filling your calendar like a game of Tetris gone horribly wrong. The pressure to always be on, with chat notifications exploding across your screen. You remember those 80-hour weeks that some people wear like badges of honor, the impossible deadlines, and that gnawing feeling that even when you're physically home, you're not really present, because your mind is still trapped at the office. You might even catch yourself checking emails in the dark, long after everyone else has drifted off to sleep. This feeling, this state of being constantly overwhelmed, has somehow become the new normal for millions of people. We've been told this is just the price of success, that if you want to achieve anything great, you have to hustle, you have to grind, you have to sacrifice your sleep, your sanity, and your time with the people you love. We've bought into this story that the workplace has to be a chaotic, high-stress, anxiety-fueled battlefield. But here's a radical thought. What if that entire story is a lie? What if the secret to doing great, meaningful, and profitable work isn't about piling on more hours, more stress, and more complexity, but actually about stripping it all away? Today, we're diving into a revolutionary idea from the book, It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work. The authors, Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansson, aren't just talking theory here. They're practitioners who've walked the walk. They founded a wildly successful software company called Basecamp that has been profitable every single year since its launch, not by embracing the chaos, but by systematically rejecting it. They've built what they call a calm company, a place where people work a reasonable 40 hours a week and just 32 during the summer. A place where employees' time and attention are protected, like the company's most valuable assets. A place that proves you can be competitive, innovative, and successful without burning yourself out in the process. By the time we're done here, you'll have a blueprint for a way of working and living that replaces chaos with calm, exhaustion with sustainability, and anxiety with genuine peace. It's a message the world desperately needs right now. And it all begins with a single, powerful realization. You actually have a choice. You can choose calm. The modern workplace is sick. That might sound harsh, but just think about it for a second. The symptoms are absolutely everywhere. Listen to how people talk. I'm slammed. I'm buried. It's just crazy at work right now. For so many people, this craziness has become their baseline, their everyday normal. The authors argue that this sickness stems from two primary sources. First, our workday has been shattered into 1,000 tiny, useless fragments. An endless stream of meetings, emails, and chat notifications constantly yanks at our attention, making it impossible to do the deep, focused work that actually moves the needle. People can't get real work done at work anymore, so they're forced to find those precious moments of focus late at night, early in the morning, or on weekends. Life becomes whatever leftover scraps of time that work hasn't already devoured. The second source of sickness is this unhealthy cultural obsession with growth at any cost. This hustle mania, as they call it, has convinced us that long hours and constant busyness are virtues. That sustained exhaustion is somehow a mark of dedication, when in reality it's a mark of poor planning. This mindset turns business leaders into tiny wannabe Napoleons, obsessed with dominating markets and crushing competitors, using the language of war to describe what should really just be a peaceful exchange of value. But Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansson offer a powerful antidote to this sickness. It's not a magic pill or a clever productivity hack. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about work. They call it building a calm company. Now, a calm company isn't a lazy company. It's not a place where nothing gets done. It's actually the exact opposite. It's a company that is ruthlessly focused on creating the right conditions for great work to happen, and that means protecting the two most precious resources its employees have: their time, and their attention. This journey toward calm begins with one foundational idea: your company is a product. Just like you would constantly iterate and improve the software or service you sell, you must continuously work on improving the company itself. How do people use the company? Is it simple? Is it buggy? What parts are slow and frustrating? Too many businesses set their policies and work habits in stone on day one and never question them again. But a calm company treats its own operations like a piece of software that's constantly being updated and refined, version by version. So what does this calm operating system actually look like in practice? It's built on a few core principles. The first principle is to deliberately curb your ambition. This sounds completely backward in a world that constantly tells you to dream bigger, aim higher, and multiply your goals by 10. But the authors argue that unchecked ambition is actually the source of most workplace anxiety. It's what leads to setting artificial ego-driven goals that stress everyone out. At Basecamp, they have a truly radical policy: no goals, no revenue targets, no sales goals, no customer acquisition quotas. Does this mean they don't want to grow or be profitable? Of course not. It means they've recognized that most goals are just made-up numbers that create unnecessary pressure and often lead to compromising your values to hit them. Think about it. When a company is desperate to hit a quarterly sales number, they might start cutting corners on quality or making it suspiciously difficult for customers to get refunds. Instead of chasing arbitrary numbers, they focus on doing the best work they can every single day. Their goal is simply to be a great, sustainable business that serves its customers well and is a wonderful place to work. Those are goals you can't easily put on a spreadsheet, but they're the ones that truly matter in the long run. This mindset also means letting go of the need to change the world. So many companies today, from pet food delivery services to emoji apps, claim they're disrupting industries and rewriting history. The authors find this honestly delusional. Basecamp makes a great product that helps teams communicate better. That's a worthy thing that makes for a wonderful business, but it's not changing the world. And by admitting that openly, you lift a tremendous burden off your shoulders. You no longer have an excuse for why it has to be all work, all the time. The opportunity to do another good day's work will still be there tomorrow, even if you go home at a reasonable hour. The second, and perhaps most important, principle of a calm company is to fiercely defend your time. Our most valuable asset isn't money or equipment, it's focused attention. And the modern office has become an interruption factory, specifically designed to destroy it. The authors make a simple but profound statement. 40 hours a week is plenty. 8 hours a day is actually a very long time. It's roughly the length of a flight from Chicago to London. So why does a flight feel so incredibly long, while an 8-hour workday feels like it vanishes in a blur? Because the flight is uninterrupted time. Your workday, on the other hand, gets sliced into tiny little pieces by meetings, calls, and distractions. You're not really getting 8 hours of work done. You're getting a few moments here and there sandwiched between constant interruptions. To fix this, a calm company must become genuinely protectionist about its employees' time. It must treat time and attention as finite, precious resources that simply can't be wasted. This means fundamentally rethinking how we communicate and collaborate. Meetings, for instance, are treated as an absolute last resort. A 1-hour meeting with 8 people doesn't really cost 1 hour. It costs 8 hours of collective, focused time that's now gone forever, never to return. Instead of status meetings where everyone goes around the room sharing updates, Basecamp employees write up their progress for others to read on their own time, asynchronously. This one practice alone saves hundreds of hours and gives people back the long, uninterrupted stretches of time they desperately need to do great work. This leads to a core belief at Basecamp: asynchronous first, real-time second. The expectation of an immediate response is the source of so much workplace anxiety. Group chat tools, in particular, gets singled out as being incredibly destructive. Following a group chat is like being stuck in an all-day meeting with random participants and absolutely no agenda. It creates a constant fear of missing out, that nagging feeling that pressures you to stay tethered to the conversation all day long. The calm alternative is something they call joy of missing out. The joy of turning off that fire hose of information so you can actually focus on what matters. At base camp, the culture is built on an eventual response rather than an immediate one. If something is truly important, it gets written up in a thoughtful, long-form post. This forces the person with the idea to actually think it through properly, and it gives everyone else the time to read it, consider it carefully, and provide a thoughtful response rather than a knee-jerk reaction. There are no knee-jerk reactions in a calm company. They even extend this protection of time to something as seemingly innocent as the shared calendar. At base camp, no one can see anyone else's calendar. You can't just scan for an open slot and steal someone's time without asking. Taking someone's time should be a difficult negotiation, not an easy convenience, because that time is literally all they have to actually do their job. The third principle is to actively and thoughtfully feed your culture, and it starts with another counterintuitive idea. We are not a family. The authors argue that when a company calls itself a family, it's often actually a manipulative tactic. It's usually not about giving you unconditional love and support. It's about demanding your unconditional sacrifice for the good of the family. The best companies aren't families, they are supporters of families. They provide a healthy, respectful work environment so that when you close your laptop at a reasonable hour, you can go be the best parent, partner, or friend you can possibly be. A healthy culture is also built on trust. The book introduces this wonderful metaphor from Shopify's founder called the trust battery. When you start working with someone, your trust battery with them is at 50%. Every interaction either charges it up or drains it down. If you deliver on your promises, the battery charges. If you let someone down, it drains. When interpersonal conflicts arise at work, it's often because one person's trust battery with another is critically low. At that point, every little thing becomes an annoyance. Understanding this helps take the personal sting out of conflict and provides a clear path forward. If you want to fix the relationship, you need to start doing things that recharge the battery. And culture, most importantly, comes from the top. Leaders can't promote a healthy lifestyle if they're sending emails at midnight. What you do matters far more than what you say. Workaholism is genuinely contagious, and if the boss is the carrier, it will infect the entire organization. Calm must be modeled from the top down. This also means leaders must actively ask for feedback, especially the hard stuff. The classic, "my door is always open" policy is honestly a cop-out. It puts all the burden on the employee to speak up. A true leader goes out and asks the hard questions directly. What's something nobody dares to talk about? Or, are you afraid of anything at work? This commitment to people extends to how you hire, pay, and support them. Basecamp largely ignores resumes, and instead gives finalists a small, paid, real-world project to see what they can actually do. They care more about the work than about a fancy pedigree. They also don't negotiate salaries. Everyone in the same role at the same level gets paid the same, based on the top 10% of San Francisco market rates, no matter where they actually live. This eliminates the stress and inequity of negotiation and ensures equal work gets equal pay. And their benefits aren't designed to trap people at the office with free dinners and game rooms. They're designed to help people live richer lives outside of work, fully paid vacations, month-long sabbaticals every 3 years, a continuing education stipend for non-work-related interests, like learning to cook or play the banjo, and a monthly fresh fruit and vegetable share. These are benefits that actually benefit the employee, not just the company's bottom line. The fourth principle of a calm company is to dissect and refine your work processes. This is about being smart and intentional in how you actually work. A key part of this is their approach to deadlines. They don't really have deadlines, they have what they call dreadlines. Most deadlines are dreadful because the date is fixed, but the amount of work keeps growing and growing, leading to panic and inevitable burnout. At Basecamp, they flip this completely around. Their projects are given a fixed budget of time, say 6 weeks. The deadline doesn't budge. What's flexible is the scope. As the project progresses, the team constantly separates the must-haves from the nice-to-haves and cuts things out to ensure they can deliver a great, finished version within the allotted time. The team doing the actual work has full control over what gets cut. This simple shift turns the deadline from a source of dread into a creative constraint that actually liberates the team to focus on what truly matters. They also believe deeply in the power of small teams. Almost all work at Basecamp is done by a team of just 3 people, 2 programmers and 1 designer. A team of 3 is big enough to make real progress, but small enough to communicate clearly without bureaucracy getting in the way. As they say, work expands to fill the team available. Big teams make small projects unnecessarily complicated. Small teams keep things simple and focused. And finally, the 5th principle is to mind your business in a way that prioritizes sanity and sustainability above all else. For the authors, this means one thing above everything: being profitable. Calm lives in the black. Crazy lives in the red. When a company is losing money, it's always racing against the clock, and that pressure inevitably trickles down to the employees in the form of stress and uncertainty. Profit isn't greed. It's freedom. It's the freedom to make your own decisions, to control your own destiny, and to not be beholden to outside investors who might push you right back toward the growth-at-all-costs model. This philosophy even dictates their pricing strategy. Basecamp has a simple, flat, monthly fee, no matter if a company has 5 employees or 5,000. They are quite deliberately leaving money on the table. Why would they do that? Because a pricing model where you charge per employee makes your biggest customers your most important customers. And when one customer is paying you 10 times more than anyone else, their demands start to dictate your entire product roadmap. By capping what any single customer can pay, Basecamp ensures that no single client has outsized influence, leaving them free to build the best product for the majority of their users. It's a business decision that literally buys them their creative freedom. Ultimately, the book makes a powerful argument that the frantic, sleep-deprived, meeting-filled, anxiety-ridden way we've come to accept as normal work is not an inevitability. It's a choice. And we can choose differently. We can choose to have less to do by saying no to things that don't actually matter. We can choose to stick with what we start, instead of chasing every shiny new idea. We can choose to be comfortable with enough, instead of always striving for more. Startups are easy, they conclude, but stay UPS are hard. The real challenge isn't the initial launch with all its excitement. It's building something that can last for the long haul, without destroying the people who are building it. And the only way to do that is to intentionally build a calm company. As we wrap up our journey through It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work, it's hard not to feel this profound sense of relief washing over you. The message of this book is like a cool breeze on a hot, stressful day. In a world that constantly screams, faster, more, now, Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansson have the genuine courage to whisper, slower, less, later. And somehow, that whisper is more powerful than all the shouting combined. What makes their argument so incredibly compelling is that it isn't just theoretical. It's a lived reality. They aren't simply telling you what might work in theory. They're showing you what has actually worked for them for over 2 decades. They've built a world-class, profitable company by methodically doing the opposite of what most business gurus preach. They've chosen the path of calm and proven beyond doubt that it leads not just to a healthier work environment, but to a stronger, more resilient business. The most powerful lesson, I believe, is the simple reframing of what productivity actually means. We've been taught for years that productivity is about efficiency, about cramming more tasks into less time. This book argues that true effectiveness isn't about managing your time better. It's about managing your obligations. It's about elimination. The goal isn't to get more done. It's to have less to do in the first place. That idea alone is genuinely life-changing, not just for a company founder, but for anyone, including a young person just figuring out how to manage their studies and their life. It's really a call to be intentional, to actually stop and ask why. Why are we having this meeting? Why do I feel this urgent need to respond to this email immediately? Why are we chasing this arbitrary goal? Why do we believe that working on the weekend is somehow a sign of commitment rather than poor planning? These are the questions that can lead us from a state of reactive chaos to one of proactive calm. So how can you start applying these ideas right now in your own life? You don't need to own a company to get started. First, try this for just 1 week. Schedule what they call library hours for yourself. For a solid block of 2 or 3 hours each day, treat your workspace, whether it's a desk at an office or a corner in your bedroom, like an actual library. No distractions. Phone on silent and completely out of sight. No social media. No notifications buzzing. Just you and the single most important task sitting in front of you. Protect that time as if it were genuinely sacred, and watch how much you actually accomplish. Second, practice the art of giving a considered response. The next time someone, whether it's a friend, a teacher, or a boss, asks you something via text or email, resist that powerful urge to fire back a reply in 10 seconds flat. Instead, take a real moment. If it's not urgent, let it sit for a bit. Give yourself actual time to think. Formulate a complete, thoughtful answer. You'll be amazed at how this simple pause reduces your own anxiety and dramatically improves the quality of your communication. And finally, question just one best practice in your life. Is there something you do simply because everyone else does it? A way you study, a way you work, a way you structure your day. Ask yourself honestly if it's truly serving you, or if it's just a habit you've inherited without thinking. Is there a simpler, calmer way to achieve the exact same result? The world will always try its hardest to convince you that your value is tied directly to your busyness. This book is a declaration of independence from that toxic idea. It's a powerful reminder that a well-rested mind is a creative mind. That a calm environment is actually a productive environment. And that a life well lived is one where work is a meaningful part of the whole picture, not the all-consuming center that swallows everything else. That was a summary of It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work by Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansson. We've touched on the core principles today, but I'll be honest with you. A summary can only show you the map. The real magic happens when you take the journey yourself. It's in those quiet moments of reading, when a particular story or a simple phrase resonates in a way you didn't expect. This overview is designed to help you decide if this book deserves your time and attention. If anything we've talked about today has sparked even a small desire for a calmer, more focused way of living and working, I genuinely encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning new ideas. It's about giving yourself permission to build a more sustainable and genuinely fulfilling life. Also, if you found this summary valuable, I'd be really grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book from some of the world's most successful minds. Let's keep learning and growing together.